to so much brass in my life, nor was I ever able to address generals, full birds, a half a bird, and on the line. Oh, I appreciate it so much. This is the epitome of my speaking engagement. I spoke 6 times this week already. This is the cream. This is it. What did I tell my family? I want to go on a little bit. I said to my 2 buddies, I'm going down the recruiting place, down the Ford building down Detroit. I'm going to sign up. I ran down there Monday morning. I walked up in the room. Sergeant met me at the door and he said, what can I do for you, son? I said, I want to sign up. He says, how old are you? I said, 16. He said, I can't touch you. You're too young. You got to be 17. But I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll give you some papers, and you take them home to your mother and father, and when you turn 17, sign the papers, bring the papers back. I'll put you in that room over there, and you'll have a physical you won't forget, and if you pass it, they'll accept you. I bummed along for 6 months. I quit school. A lot of us quit school. We wanted to go. After all, we saw the great movie, Halls of Montezuma with Randolph Scott. He was the DI. I wanted one of those uniforms. My dad was in the Marine Corps, the 6th Marines, the First World War. So I knew something about the Corps. Well, I turned 17 years old. My mother signed the papers. My dad signed them. I ran all the way down. He says, all right, we'll give you a physical. I passed the physical, sent us home. He said, you'll be getting a phone call. Got the phone call. We went down there, and my first experience was this. We lined up, 11, 12 of us. Our families were in the back of the room. And he gave us a lecture. He said, before I ask you to do something important, I want you to say goodbye to your parents. So we turned around, we left and said goodbye to our parents. We wept, it was very sad. But we were smiling because we were going to go in the Marine Corps. And so we came back, fell in line. He says, all right, I want you to stand at attention if you know what that is. Well, we knew what attention was, so we stood at attention. He said, I want you to know something. You just said goodbye to your family. You don't belong to them anymore. You belong to me until I get you in San Diego, and then you'll belong to the United States Marine Corps, and don't you forget it. I said to a buddy in my next message, you know, he was such a nice guy in the beginning. Well, we went off San Diego 4 days, no air conditioning in those days, folks. We had fans at the end of each, and it was August, it was over 100 in Arizona. Oh, I'll never forget it. And we took our shirts off, and we took water glasses with the water and threw it in the fans and let it spray us. The conductor comes through every now and then. He'd come through like this, looking like this, and he'd go and walk out. We didn't care. Got down San Diego, 8 weeks. I don't have to tell you what kind of training it was. 8 weeks. They rushed us through 8 weeks. The second day, our DI marched us down to the boondocks. That was all tense, fellas. I never slept in a barracks until I got to Great Lakes to be discharged. First time I ever walked inside the barracks. Well, anyway, we went down to the boondocks and we stood there and he said, fellas, you see those transports? We said, yes, sir. He said, when I get through, you'll be assigned to an outfit. And when that outfit's liable to be given orders to go overseas, you're going to ship over in those boats. Those ships are going to take you over there. Now, if you do what I tell you, keep your nose clean, and what they tell you, some of you might come back. Well, we loaded up, went over to New Zealand. We trained. I was in a 2nd Anti-Tank Battalion. For 3 months, we trained over the deserts in New Zealand. Then suddenly we got the order we broke up. The Marine Raiders broke up. The paratroopers broke up. All special weapons broke up. And we were sent back to the States to form the 5th Marine Division. Now, that was the 3rd, 4th, and 5th that had Eagle. But the 5th Division was a crack division because we had men who had been in combat. Seasoned men. Well, We formed the division at Pendleton. I was down in Diamondback Canyon, Tent Camp 1. There again, we slept in tents. And then all of a sudden, after we trained for quite a while, we were given the orders we're going to go load our own ships. Marines, I don't know if you do it now, but we loaded our own ships. Nobody else ever did it. We worked 3 ships around the clock till they were loaded. We loaded a ship, headed for Hilo, Hawaii, stayed at Camp Waikiki, and then all of a sudden we were there 3-4 months, and it seemed that every time we hit a beach, or every time we invaded Oahu, believe it or not. Mount Combat. And the beach was a little high, and it went straight up to the highway. And we hit that beach. But every time we hit it, it was a slope, or there was a big hill, or a small mountain something like a small mountain. But that never dawned on us. We never heard the word Iwo Jima, nobody in those 3 divisions, until the day before we hit the beach. Nobody knew about it. Well, we were ready. And we got word we're going to load up again. 21 days aboard a ship, PAs, and we went 7 knots zigzag into Saipan. Got off at Saipan, loaded up on LSTs. And if I remember, a company of Marines was on each LST. We had 3 or 4 or 5 alligators with wheels. That's what the Japanese call them, amphibious tractors. All of a sudden, lieutenants would come up and break out some clay models of the island. And he introduced us to Iwo Jima, 8 square miles. He showed us Suribachi, the North End. And I said, sir, how long will it take to take that island? He said, I got to tell you, the Navy and the Air Force have been hammering that place for 72 days. He says, with God's grace and a little luck, I'd say about 3 days. 6 weeks. Yeah. Well, we were familiar with that. That morning we got up for chow topside, go down below, and they served us breakfast. And what do you think we had for breakfast?
Steak and eggs.
Sunny side up eggs and ham. I'm eating there, and I said to a buddy next to me, I says, hey Mac, I said, what's with this eggs and then ham? He said, Graves, use this up here. What do they do to convicts before they execute them? Well, we got the word to go down and load up on those amphibious tractors. The mouths opened up, we dropped out in the water. You've seen in the movie where we hit the beach. Now, my skipper, Captain Allen, threw a flamethrower on my back. I'm 5'6", and I weigh 140 pounds, and the flamethrower weighs 72. But I carried it all through training, all right? Now, the thing that bothered me is that we're maneuvering around the water, and then we're waiting for the word to go in. And I'm wondering how I'm going to get out of that, because there's no mouth that opens up. You go over the side. And I said, I'm only hoping, fellas, that this baby gets up on the sand, out in the water. Well, it hit the water. He couldn't get up any further. So I rolled up on the top edge, and one buddy, I have 2, one on my left and right. They have to stay with me. Pushed me off. I went down under. They jumped over, grabbed me up. My mother, about a month before, gave me a brand new Bulova watch. That was the end of the watch, because, they weren't waterproof. Well, we get up on our feet, we head for the beach, and we hit the first tier. There's 1, 2, 3 tiers. They did that deliberately with bulldozers so that we couldn't maneuver on the beach. Every time you'd start to crawl up, you'd go back 3 feet. You couldn't dig a foxhole. It caved in. The only holes we had that we could use over the top on level ground were the shells where the bombers hit. And they made good hiding places. Well, I'm laying there on that beach, and I'm seeing what's happened, fellas. I see kids yelling, screaming, mortars dropping on us. Everything they could give us, from Suribachi, they landed on us. And I buried my face in the sand. I never went to church in my life. Depression kids didn't spend much time in church. We didn't. We didn't have clothes now. We felt embarrassed. We had nothing. We had to work for what we got. I said, God, I don't know much about you. But if you can do for me what people say you can do, if you do that for me, get me off the island, I'll serve you the rest of my life. He got me off. Quickly later, about the end of that. We get up on finally, later in the day, we get up on the top tier. My skipper is about 50 feet to the left. He had a habit. Even in maneuvers, waving his arms. He always waved his arms. Well, he did it this time. And he took a round from a sniper right where you don't want to get hit. And he was laying there bleeding. Smoked a cigarette. I moved up to him. I said, Skipper, how you doing? He said, don't talk to me. Keep on going. Gung-ho, you know. Keep on going. We moved up, and all of a sudden, I saw two Japs jump in a hole in a concrete slab. And I said, hey, fellas, I just saw two go in that hole. Let's move up a little closer. Now, Easy Company was on my left, Fox Company way over. Our whole battalion was to take Suribachi. The rest of the regiment crossed over on the other side to go north. By the time we reached Mount Suribachi, 3 days later, 560 feet, our platoon leaders were gone. My skipper was put out of commission. The only two we had left was the executive lieutenant in our company, and we had our battalion commander, Chandler Johnson. Well, the flag raising, that happened this way. Johnson called Lieutenant Harold Schreier, called him over, he says, take some men, when you get up to the top and you can do it, put this flag up. Find something to put it up. Well, they found drain pipe. They got the flag up. Everything let go on the island when the colors went up. The Navy, 500 ships in the ocean, let go with tracers, rockets. It was like the 4th of July in New York Harbor at nighttime. It was beautiful. The only thing is, it infuriated the Japanese, and they came at us all the worse. Well, I finally moved up close to the slab, and I yelled, Detakoi, Japanese, come out. Well, Kohano Shaki, flamethrower, nothing. I tried it again, nothing. Then all of a sudden, I said, hold it, someone's coming up. Out comes a soldier, dressed up beautiful. And the first thought was, he wants to go out in style. He had a plumed hat, a beautiful sword. And the first thing I really noticed was that sword. Now, I don't know about today, fellas, but during the Pacific, we were souvenir hunters. Marines were souvenir hunters. I wanted that sword. He wouldn't do a thing, and I yelled again. And he's standing there with this hand on his sword, he had his hand here. And then all of a sudden, boom! He's gone. Completely gone. And he took my sword with him. We put fire in the hole, they threw a couple of grenades in, we moved up towards the top of Suribachi. You know, a handy weapon going up was that bar. That thing hammered, broke concrete and everything. It was a good weapon going up there. Well, we secured Suribachi, went to the north. There's a couple things I want to close with, and one I'll take to my grave. Now, I don't know how many of you men have been in combat. I'm sure a lot of you have. But did you ever have humorous things happen? Funny things. On Evo, we never expected to get off. And I'll tell you, a bunch of kids, a bunch of teenagers ran that war. We were platoon leaders, squad leaders. We called the shots. Our colonel was the only one left to give us orders. Harry the Horse Liversedge was back in the regiment. And we did a good job. We know what to do. That's where good training comes in. Well, I said one day, sitting in a foxhole, there's 3 of us left. 2 machine gun squad leaders and myself. I said, I feel like hot chocolate. Well, you know, we Marines, you know, we kind of like Pepsi Cola, Dr. Pepper, you know. And I said, I feel like hot chocolate. So I took my D bar out, ration bar, took my K bar, got my cup, put water in it, chopped up chocolate, put it in my lighter. I mixed C2 composition, C2 demolition underneath, lit it with a match, and I had a beautiful little blue flame going, and all of a sudden it's beginning to get nice and hot. The thing that I failed to realize was that chocolate travels. And it traveled just over the line. And all of a sudden I heard, "Hey buddy, very good chocolatto. You bring chocolatto here." I said, "If you want chocolate, you come and get it." He said, "Oh no, you bring here." Another time I sang a song, the fellow said, "Give us a song, John." And I said, "All right." I don't know why I chose it. I loved it, but I chose the Lord's Prayer. And as I sang that song, my mind went back to the beach when I made that oath to God. I meant it as a rabbit's foot, a lucky thing. I made it off the beach. I forgot what I had said, but it came back when I sang that song. And a Japanese was, "Hey Marie, very good singing. You sing again." So one of my buddies said, "Don't do it. They want to know exactly where we're at." I said, "No more singing." He said, "Okay." Now this one here, it's not news to some of you fellows, but to me, I will take it to my grave. We never thought we'd get off the island. The Navy pulled out, went to Okinawa. The ocean was bare. There was nothing out there. We had no Corsair firepower. So I said, "Fellas, we're not getting off. Take a look over the top." So we stood up, kind of looked. He said, "You're right, we're not going to get off here." All of a sudden, a P-51 Mustang zoomed over our head, and that was our cover. The Army took over the airstrips. I saw the first B-29 that landed on Eagle. Those of us who were there, we saw it come in. It was shot up. And it belly landed on the first airstrip, turned a little bit this way, and stopped, and all of a sudden the fire started. Every personnel on those airstrips ran to that ship, and they got every one of the men off. That was an exciting thing. We never saw a plane that big. Well, someone got on the radio and said, "Graves." I said, "Yo." He said, "Be on the lookout for snipers." And I said, we're not bothered by snipers. We're on the line." He said, "We're getting hit back here at the company CP." I said, "All right, I'll take a look." So I get up out of the hole, and I stand up with my glasses, and I'm looking around like that. I can't see anything. We were careless. I sat back down. I confirmed, no snipers. He said, "You're getting a replacement. He'll be there in a few minutes." Kip rolls over in our holes. He says, "Who's Graves?" "I am." He said, "I'm your replacement." I said, "Sit down over there." They got on the walkie-talkie. "Are you looking for snipers?" I said, 10-4. I said, "Well, I guess I got to look again." The kid said, "Graves, let me take a look." I said, "No, you'll get shot." They said, one of my buddies says, "Give it to him, that's what he's here for." So I gave him the glasses. He got up in my position. He's looking. We're shooting Marine talk. Then all of a sudden, he fell back. His helmet flew off. It landed between my feet. And inside his helmet was a beautiful young lady. And on that lady's lap was a beautiful baby. I lost it, fellas. I threw everything on the ground. I jumped up and I shook my fist. I said, "Curse Iwo Jima. Curse God for letting this happen." My buddy got up, smacked me in the face, and threw me on the ground. I started laughing. I couldn't stop laughing. And then all of a sudden it left me. All of a sudden we get word that the 3rd Division is going to release us. And I'll close with this next thing. They come one by one and release us. We were a mess. We didn't have any water, K rations, that was it. Couldn't wash our teeth. We, one by one, walked down to the beach by the 5th Marine Division Cemetery. Harry Liversedge, Colonel, he said, "Men, before we get aboard Higgins boats and get on our transport, I want all of you to formation, march through our division and say goodbye to your buddies. I will never forget it." I was as moved then as I was before the colors here. As you went through the gate, there was a K-ration turned inside out and tacked on the pole, and it was inscribed on the facing this. Fellas, when you go home, tell the folks we did our best so that they may have many more tomorrows. That's the kind of kids we were. That's the kind of Marines we were. And there wasn't a dry eye. We walked through that, saw our buddies' names, my squad leader, our lieutenants. It was a disaster. We went aboard ship, went back to Pearl Harbor, went back to Hilo. Well, we were getting ready for Japan. Japan surrendered. The war was over. We went into occupation. I got back, and I went out of Great Lakes. And I want to tell you something. I bummed around for 9 years. I just couldn't handle it. I said to a buddy of mine, do you think we left anything in the Corps? He says, you're darn right we did. We grew up in it. We don't know what a teenager's life is. Yeah, we left something behind. I couldn't pick up. I just couldn't do it. After a while, everything was fine. One day I got invited to a Valley Green Youth for Christ rally. I didn't want to go. They called again. The second time I said, all right, we'll pick you up, we'll take you. It was an older couple. We went into that high school on Lake Winnebago, Oshkosh, Wisconsin. I'll close with this. Billy Graham was speaking by what film? Some Baptist preachers retired, put that program on, 2,700 people in that big room. The movie started. I sat there and I looked at it. And Billy said, you are not your own. You're bought with a price. And that price was Jesus Christ at Calvary. What will you do with Christ? You need God in your life. You're here tonight. You know you need Him. You come. You come tonight. I wasn't bothered at all. Then suddenly the men got on the platform, the screen closed, and they gave an invitation, and the song was the crusade song, Just As I Am Without One Plea. They sang it twice, and the old Baptist preacher said, I know you're here. You know you're supposed to be up here. You know you need Christ in your life. You come. We're going to sing it one more time. I fell down between two seats. I was a mess. I said, if they sing it again, I'll go up there. I stood up on my feet, and a voice said to me, honestly, sit down, you fool. What about your wife? And I said to myself, that's not going to work. I turned around like this. She looked at me, and she got up and took my hand, and she said, let's both go up. We went up to the platform with 10 other couple, received the Lord in our lives. They gave us scripture. I went home, dropped a couple off, sat in a leather chair that we never sat together before. We were planning on divorce. I said, come on, hon, let's sit in this chair. And I said, where's that Bible? And I reached down, I picked an old Bible up, I put my finger on it, and I said, I'll put my finger on a verse where I put it, I'll read it. She says, okay. I put my finger on a verse, and it said this, the Lord is good, and a stronghold in the day of trouble, and He knoweth them that trust in Him. Nahum 1:7. We forgot the divorce. We didn't have a perfect marriage. But we could handle problems because we knew the Savior. We were related to God. And I've had the peace of God, and I've served churches for 32 years. Not bad for a Marine, huh? God bless you. Thank you. God bless the Marine Corps. And I'm going to ask all of you to stand up. Do me a favor.